Here let's talk about the lazy initialization of the state using reducer. So in the previous video we talked about how to use useReducer, and we initialized the state in the component itself, but we can also, there is other way that we can also initialize the state lazily. So the syntax for that would be basically you will pass the second argument the value of the state that you would like to, and then you will pass the function here. So basically we can call that as a init function. So let's define that. Initialize init function here. Basically it takes initial state, which is a direct value, and then it can return the main state. So in our case it's going to be counter, and then it could be initial state, right? So there's no difference, but the only thing that here is instead of passing the state directly here, we are passing a function where the state is being computed. So this is a good example where if you have a basically it will allow you to compute your state outside of the reducer. So you can have some logic here when you want to come up with the initial state. So you have a place. So otherwise before you like to, if you like to pass this state directly here, it is basically, it will become complex if you have a little bit of steps to come up with a new state, right? The initial state. So let's see if this is working, right? Let's save this, save that. So it's working, right? So let's see where this init function is being called. Let's put something here. The init is called, and let's print the initial value that we're passing, right? Let's clear these logs and let's bring that here. So let's reboot that, and then see when the component is loaded, that's when it's going to render this component, and then this useReducer will call, and then it's going to initiate the initial state. So we called with a 0, that's why it is initiating with the initial state as 0. So so we established that init function is called, and this is one more use case of this is, let's say you want to reset your state after interacting with the component. You want to reset your state to its original state, then it would be very useful here. So since we have this init function, what we can do, we can have one more case here. Let's say reset, and then here we can say call return init, and then we call with a 0, right? So what that does, it's going to reset the state. So if you're gonna put one more button here, we call that as a reset. Let's call that reset, then background color dispatch, okay. And then here let's call it as a reset. So we got reset function here, right? Let's color that. Background color could be orange, right? Let's say orange. So reset, right? So let's test this. So we increment 2, and then we click on reset. That should reset to 0, right? Based on the logic, what happens, we pass this action as reset, and then it comes here to the reducer function, and here it's gonna call the init function, which by default it will put that state back to its original state. So let's say, see, it put to 0. You can mess up with the state sometimes, in the application at some point when you click on that, you would want to reset the whole thing back to its original state. So that is one of the examples, use cases where you could utilize this lazy initialization. So that's the concept. All right, so let's catch up in the next video. We'll talk about another hook, which could be use callback or use memo, anything like one of those hooks. Okay, see you there. Bye.